Okay, what's up, everybody? Good morning. Welcome to a Sunday edition of Morning Scone presented by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. Of course, if you need any, if you have any roof issues, you can always give us a shout at 364-1007, 364-1007. Call us. Mentioned yesterday, temporarily, no web availability. Just call 364-1007. Of course, Restored Motion, restoredmotions.com, and ProChargeEV, ProChargeEV.com. Okay, y'all, let's dive into it. LSU baseball, a winner. They beat the Cajuns 5-4. You know what? I was thinking about this game while I was watching it last night. And really until the last batter, if you didn't see the game, LSU, Tigers put up a 4 spot in the fifth. It was really a pitching duel through four and a half innings. Tigers put up a 4 spot in the bottom of the fifth, and ULL did respond with 3 in the third, which we'll get to in a second. It was a 3-run homer by Pastor, but who's like the only guy who hit the ball hard for ULL last night. Anyway, and then Hayden Travinski got the insurance run with a solo shot in the seventh, and that ended up being the difference because the Cajuns did hit a solo shot in the ninth for your final, which is 5-4. But even with that, if you're watching the game, LSU never really felt threatened. Do you know what I mean? Like, if you watch it, you never really watch that game like, oh, man, this is getting hairy until literally the last batter. When Laura went out there for the ninth, he got 2 quick outs, and he gave up the solo homer, then a little tapper to the right side, and the runner was safe. And so now all of a sudden, the tying runs the base, go ahead and runs at the plate. Like, that was until literally the last batter of the game, you never felt threatened, which I think speaks to – I think that is a huge compliment to this pitching staff because, man, they are so good. I mean, if you didn't watch it last night, Gage jump started for LSU, and you could tell, like, that was, I think, the conundrum. It was a conundrum, the decision that Jay Johnson had to make about Friday. Was he going to start Jump or was he going to start Holman? He's trying to set his rotation. And listen, Luke Holman is amazing, right? His ability to use all 4 quadrants of the plate. You know, if he wants to go up, down, inside, or away, he puts it wherever he wants, throwing whatever pitch. I mean, that command makes him a dangerous pitcher. Jump has electric stuff, and when he commands it, it is really fun to watch. Gage Jump was perfect through 4. Hang on. They didn't get a base runner until the 5th, I believe, is when they Yep. So there's 2 outs in the 5th. So Jump is perfect through 4 2/3. Not a lot of base runner. They go ground out, strikeout, and then LaFleur's up, and he singles on an 0-2 pitch. It's just a jam shot, and he just, like, bloops the ball over the pitcher, the pitcher's mound, and so Jump has to go back, and Braswell has to come up, and neither can get to it, and that was how they finally got a runner on base. And then they fouled out to the catcher. I mean, Gage Jump was awesome. I'm not trying to create any controversy. I'm not sitting here telling you that Jump should be your Friday guy. My only point is they got options, and, like, they are going to be really hard to handle. Herring came in, and Herring was awesome. I mean, he was dominant. Went, like, ground out, strikeout in the 6th. And then he went strikeout, strikeout. He went strikeout, strikeout. Then on a 1-2 pitch, he gave up a single up the middle, and then he gave up a single to left. And then Pastor homered. So, I mean, Herring was looking awesome, and then gave up the single on the 1-2 pitch up the middle. I mean, it looked like he was a pitch away from getting out of the inning, 1-2-3, and then single homer. And Pastor, the guy who homered, if you remember, he's the guy who he hit a missile to center off a jump. The only guy that hit a ball hard of a jump all night was Pastor. Hit a missile to center, and Kling caught it sort of in left center. And then he also hit a ball hard off Lore later as well. So anyway, Pastor was the only guy who hit the ball hard for them last night until the kid who homered near the end. But point is, Herring was good. Guidry ran into a little trouble. Guidry came in and got you to Lore, who pitched the final 2 1/3. And Lore struck out 4, and his ability to throw every pitch for strikes was, I think, the big difference for Lore. And that's the thing we've been waiting to see, that Jay said they were going to use Lore out of the bullpen and back of the bullpen guy. And to have a lefty in that role was awesome. So, and Lore was really good. Went 2 1/3, struck out 4, did not walk a batter. He gave up the homer. I mean, he gave up a solo homer in the 9th. So anyway, I thought pitching was great on a day where your hitters struck out. LSU hitters struck out 15 times. On a day where your hitters struck out 15 times, you still never really felt threatened. I think that speaks volumes about this team. Man, they are good. They're dangerous. They are going to be a handful for everybody in the SEC to deal with and country come postseason time. Oh, we have a visitor? Drew? Oh, he psyched us out. Started walking this way and then went back to his iPad. Anyway. Okay, y'all. We'll say some good mornings here. You know the drill. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We appreciate you greatly. LSU basketball, they throttled Vandy 75-61, wire-to-wire win for the Tigers. They were up 20 at half. I'm looking at here, 42. I think it was 42-22. Yeah, 42-22. They were up at half. Tigers were never really challenged in this ball game. Wire-to-wire winners. Reed with 13 off the bench. Jordan Wright in his return to Memorial Gym scored 15 to lead the Tigers. So LSU gets to 8-8 in conference play. You got 2 to go. You got a road game against Arkansas and a home game against Missouri. This is the scenario we've been talking about. You split those 2 games, and you are an NIT team. So you'll play in the postseason, which is awesome. Again, I'm not saying we should be fired up about NIT appearances. What I'm saying is you should be fired up that there is obviously a very real progress this program is making, which is exciting. Okay, let's say our good mornings here. Kelly Gross, good morning. Von Bluesman, Tigers. Greetings from the Napa Half Marathon. Okay. That sounds like a really good time. Oh, that's going to be really hilly, though. God bless you. Brad David, good morning. Your rant yesterday was awesome. I never understood when people get so worked up about beer. Thank you, Brad. Larry Garner, good morning. Jordan Garcia, good morning. Fantastic baseball game. LinkedIn user, just the generic LinkedIn username. This is the most time I'll spend on LinkedIn by a factor of 10. I don't blame you. But as I mentioned before, so I'm streaming, again, for those who are new, I'm streaming from StreamYard, the software, to YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn. I streamed to Twitter yesterday as well, thinking I probably won't stream to Twitter, X, and sometimes on Instagram, but it's challenging on Instagram because the Instagram comments don't populate here. I have to toggle over. Anyway, I mentioned so that I'm on LinkedIn, and I agree with you. I think LinkedIn is LinkedIn started as a job board. It was just where people went to post jobs, and it's emerged or evolved into a content platform where people will post business content. The problem is LinkedIn has just become a spam board. It's like if you go look at my messages, it's nothing but, "Hey, Matt, you look like you'd be a candidate for our services. We'd love to give you a free blah, blah, blah." That's every message I get on LinkedIn. It's such a waste of time for me. But people are on LinkedIn, so I'll stream there if they're there. But it's funny that whoever that is just created a generic LinkedIn user account. It's funny. Ray Langlois, good morning from Houston. Alex Day, good morning. Always win on a Sunday. Jordan Simpson, good morning from Shreveport. Ray Langlois, great game. Edward O, the Nuss Bus driver. Speaking of which, Brian Thomas, I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Brian Thomas Jr., a 4.34 in the 40-yard dash at the combine. At his size, a 4.34 will most certainly solidify him as a first-round draft pick. We talked about going into the combine, who had the most to gain, most to lose. I thought Mason Smith most to gain because he had the most room to move up. Brian Thomas, I thought, had the most to lose because it's a really competitive wide receiver draft class, and any misstep, he could have fallen out of round one, and he went and ran 4.34. So I think Brian Thomas has essentially solidified himself as the fourth receiver in this draft after Harrison, Neighbors, Rome Odunze. I think Brian Thomas is the fourth receiver, ahead of Keon Coleman, ahead of Jalen Polk, ahead of everybody else. Matt Lusto, energy was great last night. Wish they didn't get so close. Strong stuff for Laura to dig in and close the door. Yep. Austin Kidder, morning. Little brother gave us all we could handle last night. Reminded me of one of me and Kevin's old fights. Kevin is Austin's younger brother. We all did taekwondo together when we were kids. I don't know, man. Kevin was, well, maybe at a certain point. I remember like when I was in college, Kevin might have been high school age, seeing him over at Callaway's, and he got kind of jacked. Maybe then, but like taekwondo days, I don't think Kevin was challenging you, dude. There's a big difference between like, I don't know, 10 and 7, and then like, I don't know, 18 and 15. The 15-year-old can handle an 18-year-old if the price is right, or 18 and 21 sort of deal. It's going to be really tough for the 7-year-old to handle the 10-year-old. I'm guessing y'all are about 3 years apart. Feels right. Brent Roban, Tigers coming in form, especially through adversity here. Lower the closer with ice in his veins. You know what's funny, Brant, is yesterday someone came on here and said, hey, has Fidel Ulloa solidified himself as the closer? And I said, no. I think he's proven that he's a stopper and a guy that Jay will go to in late game scenarios. And now you're saying is Lower the closer? Gavin Guidry could have finished that game as well. I think that's the point. I don't know that they're going to have one closer. Someone may evolve into that role, but they have a lot of guys they trust. What Jay is revealing to you is, to all of us, is who is situationally who he trusts. And I think the biggest part of last night, especially in the 8th and into the 9th, is when Lower went out for the 8th. He faced a lefty, and the TV broadcast made mention of this. The first hitter was a lefty. The next 5 in the lineup were all righties, and Jay let Lower pitch to all of them, close the door, and finish the game. So, Javen Coleman was warming up, by the way. Javen Coleman was warming up as a lefty, so he was going to go to another lefty. And Javen Coleman was warming up hard, like getting hot. So that's another question about what do you do today? Like, you had Javen Coleman warming up hard last night. Do you start him today, or is this Thatcher Hurd, and then you use Javen Coleman out of the bullpen? I think that's an interesting decision to see what Jay decides to do today. But do you know what I mean? Like, I think it's just I think that's what Jay is showing us. I don't think there's just going to be one guy that's a closer. I think he has the luxury of having all these really talented guys in certain situations. He's going to use them all. Carl the Cat, good morning. Gage Jump is that dude. Brett DeGrow, good morning. Let's get the sweep. Craig Schilling, good. Craig Schilling. I wish I could say, all right, hang on one second. Let me try something. All right, so Craig, as you all know, all-around great guy, long-time morning Sconer and supporter of all things 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge, lives in Atlanta. And Craig Schilling, we often refer to him as the GOAT because Craig is his wizardry. Hang on, I'm trying to show you all this. Okay. Um, if you ever go and you feel like you wanna go deep down the rabbit hole of, old morning scones and whatnot, Craig's the one who created all the Morning Drew videos, which are awesome, by the way. He's the one who created the Scone Stradamus edit years ago. Alright, I'm trying to see. So, oddly, uh, I think this is it. Okay. Hmm. Anyway, so I'm sorry, I'm trying to oh, well, I'll have to do it another way. Anyway, I'm trying to share my screen. I'm trying to figure out how to, uh this should work. Sorry, I know y'all are oh, well. Maybe here? No. Oh, oh, do it? No? No, no. Oh, well. Well, I know what I can do. Sorry. Anyway, so I'm watching TikTok, and I put on Twitter yesterday that I'm watching TikTok, and I just keep getting fed all of these old Beavis and Butthead clips. I have no idea why. I didn't search Beavis and Butthead. Something in its algorithm decided that this guy would like to see old Beavis and Butthead clips. And I'm just laughing my face off at all of them. So anyway, Craig does this. I posted on Twitter and Craig does this. He puts my face on Beavis's body with "I am the great Scone Holio. Are you threatening me?" I'm thinking about making that thinking about making that my Twitter profile picture now, because I love it. So that's what Craig's talking about with the great Scone Holio, and it just took 5 minutes to explain that while I tried to get that image up when I could have just showed you on my phone. So my apologies for the delay. I appreciate you all. Hope you're having a great day, Craig. Patrick Berglass, good morning. A huge win in Nashville yesterday, start of something for LSU men's basketball. Yeah, man. And I think the thing that's most important to remember is whatever becomes of this team. And look, you got some guys that have been obviously key components. Jordan Wright, Will Baker, some guys that are going to be one and done guys here, right? But you do have the cavalry on the way. You've got a good signing class coming in with a couple of top 150 players, top 100 players in the country. Um, and so, and when you win, you can really start. You have something. You have a story to tell when you go try to sell, NIL and um, it's encouraging, right? McMahon is clearly showing you he's moving this thing in the right direction. Peter Fenner, good morning. Pitching looks good. Hitters discipline. Great team win over a good ULL squad. Yet, Matt Deggs has done a good job with the Cajuns. That's obviously Tony Robichaux was a legendary coach there forever, and he tragically passed a few years ago. And Matt Deggs walked into a really impossible situation and has done a really good job, man. For all the time we talk about it, UL, ULL, UL-Lafayette, whatever. I mean, the reality is it's a good baseball program. They've been a consistently strong baseball program for more than 2 decades now. So, yeah, that's a nice win. Wendell Norman, good morning. Connor O'Neill, crazy how far this program has come in 2 short years, now having 2 guys you'd be okay with starting Friday in the SEC. Um, and the lefties. I mean, I think they got 11 lefties on this team. Remember the year? Not was it 3? Was it 20? Was it 18 or 19, the year they did not have a left-handed pitcher on the team? I remember because Cabrera Remember, obviously, Daniel Cabrera was phenomenal. And they toyed with the idea of Cabrera throwing BP because he could throw lefty. Yeah, it's crazy. Gage jump was awesome last night. Ray Langlois, crowd was amazingly engaged for a midweek type opponent. Yeah, man, makes sense. I mean, it's ULL not only wants to win that game, but for them, they need to win a game like that, right? If you know, they need resume building wins like that for a tournament berth, right? To be able to get an at-large tournament berth if they don't win their conference. Um, so and that is possible for them. They can get an at-large berth, but they need games like that. So that's why it was a really important game for them. Jesse Post, morning. Baseball team is so loaded. Yes, they are. How about Jake Brown last night? Got to see Jake Brown in right, so he replaced Pearson. I think you obviously have two great options there, but Brown kind of got things going with the walk in the ground. Jake Brown got things going with the walk in the fifth. Excuse me. 4-pitch walk, and then advanced on the balk. Remember, the pitcher threw over to first when the first baseman wasn't covering. Then, Milazzo struck out. Kling walked, so he had first and second. Again, they were trying to bunt Milazzo, and he ultimately struck out. Then White got the single to center, which was great. Brown scored on the wild pitch. Bingham struck out, and then Travinski got the 2 RBI single, which was massive, and then Jones doubled to left to score Travinski. So then there was the other scenario where I don't mean to bring it up because I know y'all are going to blah, blah, blah. But you had an opportunity in the 6th in a 4-3 ball game. Milam singled, and it should have been a double if you saw it. Milam ripped one down the left field line, but the way the stands jut out and left, it kicked it toward the left fielder. And so, I mean, instead of the ball being in the corner, it ended up being just a really loud single. Brown walked. So you had first and second with nobody out. And so they bunt Milazzo. And Milazzo gets down a good bunt. The pitcher made a great play. The bunt was down the third base line, and the pitcher fielded it and threw to third and got the lead runner, bang, bang play. Then Kling struck out and Tommy White flied out. So, hashtag never bunt. Just felt like saying that. Brant, man, how does Jay Johnson do it? Seems to be the best at analytics, strategic mindset, gets these kids mentally sharp like I haven't seen in a while. You have to be a little more specific. I mean, he is all those things. I'm just curious what specifically you're talking about. What made you think of that? Joseph Fallsgraf, good morning. Edward O. Herring got blasted. Herring didn't get blasted. Herring struck out the first 2 batters he faced and had a 2-strike count on the third hitter, and then went and gave up single homer. So I'm not worried about Herring. The stuff was good, and the first hit he gave up, the single up the middle, was kind of a bleeder, and then the one to left was a flare to left, but he wasn't hit hard. And the guy who he gave up the homer to was the only guy who hit the ball hard all night for ULL. So I don't know that I'm with you on that one, man. About him being about Herring being blasted. He was a pitch away from being out of that inning. Carl the Cat, basketball train coming through. Great win by McMahon's Maulers. Edward O. DeBarge smoked a single to left. Few Cajuns had solid contact. All right. Anthony Guglielmo. We can always count on our guy. Good win, but way too many strikeouts for our hitters. Naturally, we can always leave it to our guy, Anthony, to shine the negative whenever there's a bright light. We appreciate you for being here, bud. Yes, you're not wrong. 15 strikeouts is too many. But like when you're the boy that cried wolf, it's hard to hear anything else, right? So yes, 15 strikeouts. That's the most that LSU's had on the season so far. But even on a day where this was the point I made from the onset. Even on a day where you struck out 15 times, Anthony, you never really felt threatened in the game until quite literally the last batter of the game where they had a runner on and the go-ahead run at the plate. So that's a major compliment to the pitching, the defense, and LSU's timely hitting, which they did get at times in the game. Carl the Cat, Texas State won't be a pushover. Texas State is a veteran team. They have a good offense. So, especially the top of the order. So, yes, especially the top of the order. Texas State, man, sorry. Close. I'm trying to tell y'all the um so I get for having multiple screens open. Anyway, by the way, Texas State beat Texas yesterday. They scored 11 runs and beat Texas yesterday. I don't know if you saw that, but Farber, Patino, and Mora are their top three. Ryan Farber went 3 for 4. Patino was 1 for 2 with a walk, and then Mora was 2 for 5 with 5 RBI in the game. I think he's the one who hit the grand slam yesterday for Texas State. So yes, Texas State is a good offensive team. Do not be surprised if they swing the bats and score runs today. Thomas Lamont, only 2 walks from Tiger pitching so far this weekend. Love to see it. Great point, Thomas. That was, if you had to pick one thing the opening weekend, that was the great bugaboo. It was really the first 2 weekends. It was all the walks. Greg T, Otter's college hoops picks yesterday went 5-1. The guy's on fire. Yes, Otter is absolutely in fuego. The only loss was Florida. He did give me some other picks. He ended up throwing Creighton in there, which hit as well. Otter is having a heck of a college hoops season. He said it's his best handicapping season for college basketball ever. And I believe him. He's been on fire. Murder Giraffe, good morning. Mojo, good morning. Hey, y'all, smash that like button if you would. Subscribe up to the channel. We appreciate you as always. If you're on Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We're brought to you by Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. And of course, our roofing company. I mentioned it yesterday. So, long story short, it's not like that. There's nothing really to tell. It's, we contractually with HUDCO North decided we're not renewing that contract, and so we're still operating, not however as HUDCO, but hopefully with a new name, branding, all that stuff to come very, very shortly. But it's the same people. It's Tilly and Terrio and me and Joe Morales and Scott, and we got our office on Perkins. I mean, it's the same contractor's license, same people, same insurance adjusters, same everything. We're just not going to be HUDCO anymore. So a little bittersweet, right? HUDCO has been awesome. Appreciate, the partnership we've had with the HUDCO North team for 3 years. But that just means I get to start pitching a new hat to everybody, right? In addition to the 104.5 ESPN Baton Rouge hat. But we're still operating. So if you have a roof issue, give us a shout. 364-1007. Again, no web. We're not going to launch a website until we have a definitive direction for the name, branding, etc. But same phone number. Just call us, please. 364-1007. 364-1007. Let's see. Julio Mendez, good morning. Danny Braywick didn't realize Brian Thomas had 4.3 speed. That's crazy. Well, I mean, when you think about it, you're right, Danny. When you think about it, think about how many times he pulled away from would-be defensive backs last year. How great he was at the deep ball. I mean, for a dude that size with that speed, it's impressive. Mojo, good morning. Bubba Tate, morning. Herring got touched up in a hurry last night. See, I just disagree with that. He went strikeout, and had a 2-strike count, then went single homer. Sometimes you can tip your cap to the other guy. If Herring was wild and was walking guys and they were just blasting balls all over the yard, that would be different. But go watch the strikeout, and then he had a 2-strike count on the third guy. I mean, he was churning. I'm not on board. Like, hat tip to those guys, man. He went through part of the lineup that put some good swings in the first couple of guys that got hits, and then the homer, man. Anyway, I'm not worried about Herring, I guess is my point. Cage and Bradley Cooper, born in Scone. Hope you and your family having a great weekend. Same to you, Cage and Bradley Cooper. Appreciate that. Barry Jocelyn. Whoops. What's up, y'all? Love the new digs. Matt, here for Moonshine's wake today. All right. For those that don't know, Moonshine was a guy, some nameless, faceless coward who came here yesterday trying to start stuff about my friends at Mockler Beverage. And I lit into him and essentially eviscerated him, and he went away, and I doubt he'll ever come back. Because that's the thing. When you're a coward like that and you try to bully people, bullies don't ever expect people to respond. And whenever you punch a bully in the nose, they usually run away and cry. Because they're not actually tough. They're cowards. Jeff McKithen, good morning. Corey Spirer, good morning. From a fellow Cali High grad. Something that I think Julio Mendez, what's going on, y'all? Good morning. Something that I think collectively we as LSU fans need to start paying attention to, speaking of Calichi, is William Schmidt. So William Schmidt is an LSU signee, and he's a Calichi pitcher. And I was talking to a scout buddy on, I think it was Friday night. And he told me that he would offer Schmidt $6 million today and thinks he'll be a top 10 pick, which means it's unlikely that Schmidt ever ends up at LSU. Now, the flip side of that is Schmidt is a Baton Rouge kid who I think this is where the brand plays a role, where the opportunity to play at LSU would be huge. I don't know what his decision. I have no insight whatsoever into his decision or what he's thinking. I just know generally if an MLB team is going to offer you $6 million, you take it. But what this guy was telling me was, like, a year ago, I said, man, I didn't realize he was that good. He said, well, a year ago he was 88, 90, he touched 91. He said, over the summer, he started sitting 91, 92. He touched 3s and 4s. He said, and now he's sitting 94 and touching 7s and 8s, 97, 98. And he also told me his breaking ball, his curve ball, would be one of the top 10 in baseball today. Any level of baseball, Major League Baseball, it would be spin rate and all that stuff. The dynamics of William Schmidt's curveball would be top 10 in baseball. That's just not the type of guy who usually ends up on campus, but if he does, look out. Would love to see it. Irfan Sayad, Gamorgan. Peter, the guy running 4.2 140, looks like he could stand to add a few pounds. Yeah, wasn't that Xavier Worthy? Wasn't it Xavier Worthy from Texas who ran the 4.21? I'm pretty sure it was Xavier Worthy. Yeah, Xavier Worthy from Texas ran the 4.21. So it's the fastest 40 time ever at the combine. He's a good player, man. Great player. Von Bluesman, the Tiger softball team remains undefeated. Thoughts on Coach Kelly's latest offensive hire, Todd Fitch for offensive analyst and work with quarterbacks? Thanks. I have not researched, talked about, done anything on Todd Fitch, so apologies. That's something that I would normally get into in Monday morning show prep. So my apologies. I haven't done anything on it, Von. Irfan Sayad, man, the pitching staff is good. Jump went 14 up, 14 down until the bloop. Yeah, he was perfect. He was perfect into the 5th inning, which and only one guy hit the ball hard against him. It was Pastor, the guy who hit the homer, hit the missile to center, that clean caught in left center. So yeah, man, Gage jump was awesome. He certainly looks like a guy who the they've ramped up, coming off of Tommy John and looks awesome. I mean, remember the opening weekend when a lot of people were wondering would Jump be the closer after he looked so good that first game coming out of the bullpen? Like, I think that's another illustration to say, look at what Jay Johnson is doing, right? Um he's getting guys work situationally. Clearly, he was ramping Gage Jump up. Right now he's setting his rotation for SEC weekend, so you're not changing guys on their days the week of the start of SEC play when they play Mississippi State in 2 weeks. I think it's why this was an important weekend. I mean, we talked about it like on Thursday when I told you all this, and when y'all heard it, when Doug Thompson was on AFR Thursday, Doug kind of let it slip that Jump was likely going to get the ball on Friday against Texas. And ultimately, Jay Johnson clearly changed his mind. And I think a big part of that was him setting his rotation for what he felt like he wanted to do for the start of conference play. So it's not to say that can't or won't change, but you've got two elite guys there, and I know a lot of people are down on Hurd, but I'll tell you this too, and this is a conversation I had this week, which was Hurd, and this is something you would only notice if you knew, right? I didn't notice. Somebody told me that Hurd was he apparently changed some things, not only mechanically, but in his pitch sequence from what worked so well at the end of last year. And a long story short is essentially his arm slot and release point for some it became a little too flat, and there wasn't really deception. And so this week in his bullpen, he reverted to what he was doing at the end of last year without going into too much detail, and still looked awesome. So I'm excited to see what Hurd may look like next time out, because apparently they did make some tweaks, and I'm going to be curious to see how it looks. So we've hey, look at Gordy Rush. I don't know if Gordy's still watching. This comment was apparently 25 minutes ago now that I see it. Gordy said, "Good morning. Enjoyed having that dinner last Monday night." Yep, Gordy and I had dinner together at the Guarantee Leadership retreat last we left last Sunday, so we were there Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and Gordy and I had dinner together on Monday night. Actually, we didn't. Gordy went to the other end of the table. We kind of taken our seats, and he got up to pee, and then when he came back, he went to the other end of the table. Hi. Okay, come see. Hey, listen to me. I want you to say hi to Dad show, okay? And then you can go watch your iPad. I want you to come say hi to Dad show first. Come see. Come do it. Don't you go run off. Come see. Okay. You ready to say hi, Dad show? No. Oh, come see. Come see. Are you telling me you went poo poo?
Yeah.
Erica, what do you say?
Hi, Dad show.
Okay.
No.
Now you're gonna go watch your iPad? Yeah. Okay. All right. Tell mommy you poop. The next time, tell me before you do it. I'll leave that one part. Drew's just not about Dad show anymore. Unfortunately, y'all. Makes me a little sad. Smash the like button. Very kind of all of you. Adrian, Vaughn, Seth asked what's Drew's backpack for. That's Drew has a feeding tube. So his backpack is so these are like feeding tube backpacks, right? So he's got a pump. So the pump is how you set the rate of how quickly he gets his feed, right? And you can see it's got tubing in it. So the tubing here goes into the hole. into the bag where that's the bag where you put his food in it, and then this and connects to the extension in his port. So essentially, he can be mobile. He can wear this and eat, right, instead of having to be just stationary while the pump goes. And it takes about an hour for him to get, because his digestion's slow. He's got a lot of internal issues. So for him just to get one tube feed, it takes an hour. Like that pump, the rate is set to an hour. So that's why he needs to have the backpack on. Desmond, what's up? Appreciate it. Good morning, Drew. Appreciate y'all always being so nice to Drew, man. My little dude. Melody, good morning. Jason, thank you. Appreciate it. John Sibley, Butler, LSU baseball is loaded with so much pitching. They can pick each other up at every position. Go Tigers. Pretty sure our pitching coach is ex-KGB. Let's see. Bo said, I trust Hurd will be right when we need him. Hurd was awesome last year at the end of last year. I don't really worry about Hurd. I just kind of explained what was going on a little there too. So, Jason Horn, what's going on? Good morning. I'm going back up from the bottom to the top. Guy Brooks think LSU's pitching will be great by the time conference season starts. It's already pretty great. Bo, understand the monster comparison to Breggy because of him being from the same state. But the Astros guys, not comparing him to Tuve, was cracking me up. Love the Astros guys, though. Size-wise, of course. I mean, Milam is 5'6". I mean, he's tiny. He's far more comparable to Altuve for sure, physically. The thing, though, I always point out about Bregman, though, is, when we would have the Bregman and Dylan Cruz convos, it was the power that was the big difference. Dylan Cruz hit more homers as a sophomore than Bregman hit in 3 years combined at LSU. And I remember having this conversation with Alex, and he told me whenever he was at LSU, they wanted him to hit the ball on the ground and on a line. If you remember when he got into spring training and when he got into the minors in the Astros organization, he started hitting homers. And I asked him about it, and he's like, well, they wanted me to hit the ball on a line and in the air. So they wanted him to start elevating the baseball, and so the power numbers came. So I think he might have always been capable of hitting with more power at LSU than he did. He just wasn't asked to do that. Milam, I don't know if he's capable of hitting with power. I don't know that he has that club in his bag. Carl the Cat, 97 fastball, 87 slider. I guess you're talking about Schmidt there. Bob Poole, good morning. Melody, can we lure him to the college experience? Can we get Dylan to talk to him? You're talking about that? Yes, you're definitely talking about Schmidt there. I don't know. I mean, I think the allure of playing at LSU is always going to be appealing to some guys. But if you're a top 10 pick and someone's going to offer you $6 million, you're taking the $6 million, and you'd be dumb not to. Micah said natural light FCW. I do have a window right there so you can see it. Cloud Zach 117. Do you think there's any chance he makes it to campus? Talking about Schmidt. Chance? Sure, there's a chance. I don't know if it's a great chance, but there's a chance. Guy Brooks, happy Sunday. Always love the show. Thank you, Guy Brooks. Appreciate you. Murder Giraffe. Where'd you get the Bud Light hat? I want one. So that's our friends at Mockler. They have gobs and gobs and loads of swag. So the hat is really cool. It's an elevated patch hat, and it's got the tiger logo on the side with the rope. So it is an awesome hat. After I showed it yesterday, a lot of people did ask me about it. So I'll see if I can get a I had a bunch of them, and we gave them away when we did the LSU women's basketball watch party over at Pluckers. I gave them all away. Like, this is the last one I have, but they've got a ton more. I'll see about getting more, and we'll do some type of giveaway. Joseph, sky's the limit for Brian Thomas. Not only can he fly, but with the right situation, could turn into crazy good red zone option. David Bass, good morning. Excited to see what this team will be by the end of the season. Let's enjoy the journey too, man. They're going to be fun to watch. Bo, yeah, his 4-3 was easy. Talking about Brian Thomas. It looked like he might have even stumbled on his third or fourth step a little bit if you go watch the 40. Taz, does Chase Young and the Saints make sense? I don't know how the Saints afford that. I mean, I guess you could always structure something to where you give him a monster signing bonus and backloaded contract. I think your better bet is to try to draft an edge rusher. And if that's your biggest need you deem, then you'll probably have an option at 14. Anthony C. Google Utsa. Carly Cat, no more HUDCO jingle. That's true. No more. John, Tigers should beat the Bobcats. Might be interesting. TJ Finley from Ponchatoula jump-started Texas State in all sports. I don't know, John, that I could necessarily say that TJ Finley having a good football season has anything to do whatsoever with Texas State baseball. But Finley did have a good season. He did. Taz, is Caleb Williams trying to weasel his way from the Bears by refusing a medical exam? No, I'm sure he'll do it, just not the combine. Like, you're not going to go through a draft process without getting a medical. Melody, we've still got a lot of pitching left. Yeah, and that's the other thing, too. Look at this weekend, and this is also illustrative of when I talk about, like, that opening weekend, LSU used 18 pitchers, right? Jay's trying to get a look at a lot of guys, but ultimately you pare things down as you get closer. So, like, you can go to, someone mentioned the walks, and you're not wrong. But like all the walks the opening weekend, I remember 6 of those came from Cam Johnson and one guy in one outing. So you start to figure out who you can trust in certain situations. Like, yeah, I mean, all you used was Holman Ackenhausen against Texas. And then, yesterday, you went Jump, Herring, Guidry, Lower, and Guidry could definitely throw again today if you needed him. I mean, you haven't used Hurd, Coleman. Ulloa could certainly come back. Oh, Ulloa. Used Ulloa in the first game, my bad. Ulloa could come back. You could certainly use Cade Woods. Let's do this real quick. I want to see who's available. Oh, Dutton. You haven't used Dutton yet. Dutton, Coleman, and then any combination of Helmers, Bronzini, Moffitt, Guidry, Primo, Woods, Little, Bucknam, Cam Johnson. Like any of those guys could be available for you today. But I think what you've done is you've zeroed in on, your starters with Holman, Jump, and then we'll see if it's Hurd today. Hurd or Javen Coleman, either way. Cade Anderson is your fourth guy, your midweek guy. And you've got Dutton, Ulloa, Herring, Ackenhausen, Guidry, Lower, Primo, Woods. Little hasn't pitched. He was getting hot last night. I mean, he's got so many options. So many options. Desmond Bozeman, good morning. Melody, Benedict, the question is, does Texas State have any pitching left after yesterday? That's a very fair point, Melody. And I'm not going to pretend to know what the deep recesses of Texas State's pitching staff look like. But when you start to talk about a mid-major program like that and you get to Sunday after they've played a couple of games where, you've used a lot of pitching in double-digit run games, that's typically why Sunday games get out of hand on the scoreboard. And I would imagine that even if Texas State's offense breaks through today, I can't imagine them limiting LSU offensively whatsoever. Chico Lynch, Matt, did you ever figure out the music from the soundboard really sounded like there was background noise filter maybe in the software. It was canceling the music out. I didn't, Chico, and some people made some good recommendations. It could be the cable connecting the board to the laptop, or it could just be the hardware. It could just be the soundboard. Like I made a new one. What I need to do is email the people over at the Roadcaster people and see if they can send me a new cable, or see if they have any. I need to email their tech support people, see if they have any suggestions. But thank you for the reminder. I'll do that today. Smash the like button if you're there on YouTube. Subscribe up to the channel. Got 287 watching combined. Appreciate y'all so much. If you're on Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. Shout out to our folks over at on LinkedIn as well. We appreciate y'all for being there. Stephen Walzak, is the weekend pitching rotation change a sign of future weekend rotations or just a matchup? No, I think that Jay was intentionally is setting, and he even said this. He's I think he's setting his rotation for conference play. I think that was very intentionally what he's doing here, was setting his rotation for conference play. So what I will be most interested in now, clearly, is, okay, well, who's their number 3 guy? Do they go Hurd today, or do they go Javen Coleman? And the most interesting part of it that makes me think he's going to go Hurd is the fact that Coleman was getting hot last night. Like, I mean, he was not just loosely throwing, like he was hot and ready to roll. So they were going to Holman, or they were going to Coleman last night. That kind of tells you he's leading Hurd on Sunday. Squirrel, what's good, man? Good morning. Now that my Hudco hat is outdated, I'll need a replacement of some sort. I do like the 104.5 cap. Squirrel, I got you, man. I'll make that happen this week. You got it. Hope y'all are having a good morning, man. Go Tigers. Anthony is the ultimate nega Tiger. Anthony, he keeps, I'll give dude credit, though. Keeps coming around, though. Tiger Diver, good morning. Can LSU get the sweep today? Of course, they should. Danny said, funny, Anthony is who introduced me to you. That's so funny. Again, I want to say, Danny, like, I don't think Anthony's a bad guy. We've had some interactions, like messages or whatever, off the show. He seems like a perfectly good dude. Seems like a good man, a good dad, all that stuff. He's just the guy that always brings a negative comment. And it's been that, like, Anthony started commenting, that I remember, back in 2017. Like on Twitter, he and I started going back and forth. And he was the one that was convinced that team stunk and wasn't going anywhere. And he was just very overt with it all. Of course, they made it all the way to the championship series. That year really was, and it's not just him. That really was the year where that was the year where my midweek game feud with the fan base started, because LSU lost a late season midweek game to South Alabama, and people melted. And that's when I went on the midweek games don't matter rant. And of course, LSU went on to Omaha and, went to the championship series. And what I remember about that game too most is LSU was using pitchers in that game that, like, literally weren't even going to be on the postseason travel roster. Like, they were just getting through a midweek game to get to the SEC weekend, and people just melted when they lost that game. And that's when I lost my mind. So 2017 really was the year where it became contentious with me and LSU fans, about some LSU fans, about the midweek games don't matter and all that sort of stuff. That was, and clearly I was right. LSU went on to go play in the national championship series in Omaha. So it's become a whole thing. And then now the bunting conversation is like 1A to that. Shane Godso, good morning. Jason Mabia, what's up? C-Mac, what's good, dude? Herring didn't get blasted. The homer pitch wasn't a bad pitch at all. It was low, out of the zone. The batter guessed right. Yes, you and I are speaking the same language here, C-Mac. I mean, Herring, the line on Herring last night isn't going to be great. to go 2/3 of an inning, 3 runs on 3 hits, all earned, 2 strikeouts, no walks. But again, context matters. Like he struck out the first 2 hitters and had the third hitter on a 2-strike count and gave up a single up the middle. I mean, and they went single homer. And yes, Pastor is their 3-hole hitter, and he hit the ball hard all night last night. I mean, I'm not worried about it. Jake Knight, good morning. Ryan Slayton, good morning from a snowy Glendive, Montana. Have you spoken to Scone Stradamus lately? I think I retired Scone Stradamus. Never bunt. I was so pissed. Big Al had been hitting well. He should have been swinging. In fairness, Melody, he did strike out twice in the game yesterday. But yeah, never bunt, swing away. Hit dingers. There's a new seasons of Beavis and Butthead? I had no idea. No idea. I love the Beavis memes. The great Scone Holio picture needs to be on a hat. We might be able to make that work. Let's see. I think I'm caught up now. I'm gonna go back to the more current comments. Let's see. Peter, Astro Stadium concessions with some unintentional comedy with the oversized corn dogs. Vaughn, Matt, you need a big iPad in your office for Drew. I could tell him just to come watch, but the problem is if he watches iPad in here, then y'all would be hearing all of his Daniel Tiger and the backpack blowers and the elevator videos and everything that he watches. You'd be hearing that in here. So. Anyway, Jake Knight, you're a good dad, Matt. Thank you, Jake. Best job in the world, man. That's the best and easiest job to be good at, man. Just shower your kids with love and affection. Guy Brooks. He is growing up. My daughter had a feeding tube. I miss her so much. Cherish your time with Drew, being Drew's dad. I will, Guy. It's never lost on me, man. Those moments all the time. Even though he mostly just wants to cuddle on the couch with his mommy and wants to cuddle in the bed with her at night when he goes to sleep. I get my moments too. Jason, what kicks are we wearing to the mall today? Jason, usually I just go with my white G Nikes. I keep it super simple and comfortable. Jay Borden, good morning. Barry Day, good morning. Johnny Goodson, morning, Matt. Love the new digs. Great seeing you and Drew. Makes me smile. Thank you, Johnny. I appreciate y'all for being here. Over 300 watching live concurrently. Certainly appreciate all the time that everyone's given to Morning Scone over the years, as we say all the time. Certainly appreciate our friends over at Brock. Brock, they're the best. Or I guess, wait, I could do this. Hold on. I haven't done this in a minute. Brought to you by, oh, wait, that's not what I wanted. Dagnabbit. Oh, that's why. I'd have to do this. Brought to you by, oh, here it is. Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. With, oh, look, that's like I'm wearing a mask. What if I could do it this way? Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. I'm way too stupid. Woo! And of course, if you need a roof, give us a shout. Call us 364-1007, 364-1007. Commercial, residential, call us 364-1007. Hopefully I have really good news soon that I can share with you all about name and branding and all that sort of stuff. But in the meantime, again, fully operational, just not as HUDCO any longer. HUDCO, just so you know, HUDCO North is continuing to operate. So if you're in North Louisiana, I would call, they're awesome. Jeff and Sherry Hudson, John Michael Garcia, they've been great partners. Just, just business. Sometimes contractually you get to things where, different visions, directions, whatever happens. So anyway, so HUDCO still operates in North Louisiana, but if you need a roof, we'd love to help you. We're still operational here, just not under the name HUDCO anymore. 364-1007. So call us before we get web and everything rolling. 364-1007. Still got everything. I mean, still have a contractor's license. It's Tilly and Terrio and me and Joe Morales and Scott and our whole Ty and our whole team. Sell the office on Perkins. All the same vendors, materials, crews. So like the same company, we're just gonna have a different name. So, and I'm excited to tell you what it is because then whenever we get the new name, of course we're gonna put it on hats or maybe shirts or something like that. We'll start slinging those. Whatever the new name is, we'll have the parties where we'll just start slinging gear. Looking forward to it. So it'd be fun. Anyway, let's see. Melody Dutton can extend too. Yes, he can. Devin, what's good? Isn't Texas State the school from unnecessary roughness? Yes, as a matter of fact. Texas State University, but Texas State, who LSU is going to play today, is in San Marcos, and they rebranded. How about Kathy Ireland in the soccer shorts? Circa 1992. It's a 10-year-old Matty Moe's dream. Kathy Ireland in soccer shorts. Rob Schneider was the radio play-by-play guy. Yeah, so they were Texas State, which was at the time, obviously fictional. But Texas State in San Marcos, what were they called before? A seventh new name for Texas State University. So they were Texas State University San Marcos. Initially Southwest Texas Normal School. Was changed to college in 1918. Oh, the final word, school became college. Normal became teachers. Name was shortened to Southwest Texas State College, then Southwest Texas State University. Then they dropped Southwest in 2003, added San Marcos, and then that was taken. San Marcos was taken off the end to Texas State University. There you go. It's a lot of different names. John, Texas State is President Johnson's alma mater. It was once Southwest Texas, shade under 40,000 students, and a 7-iron from Austin. The provost is a Tiger. Okay, good info, John. Good info. John's a virtual font of information there. Thank you, John. Jordan Mumfree, did Jay Johnson convince Guidry that it'd be a better idea to focus on pitching instead of wanting to play shortstop? I don't think that's how it went. And to be completely honest, I'm a little surprised that Guidry isn't playing on the infield. Usually when you get a guy like that who was a number one player in the state, a projected first-round pick, you get him to show up on campus, and remember, Guidry was competing for a job last year on the infield. And ultimately, Thompson won the shortstop job. Tommy White played third, and Gavin Dugas won the job at second. And so they tried to find a role for Guidry, and he emerged as a really good bullpen piece. But I certainly would have assumed coming into this year that he would have played on the infield. But they added Braswell. Obviously, you signed Milam, Kucherak as well. I would have thought he would have at least competed there. So little surprising. I'm surprised that Guidry's sticking with just pitching this year. Devanka De Silva, good morning from Sri Lanka. Hunter Pope, LSU softball stays undefeated. Feel like we don't give them enough credit for all they've done this non-conference part of the schedule. Completely agree. Love me some Beth Torina. Fired up for the ladies. Hope they continue to roll. Top 5 in the country now. And I've often said, man, I'd love to see Beth. I thought Beth would be the next coach to win a national title at LSU. Obviously, Jay and Kim both jumped up and nabbed one, but would love it if softball, and would love for Jay Clark as well with gymnastics to be next. Casey Smith, love that. Thank you, man. Cheers. Michael McMichelson, just curious. Do you think Neighbors would post a better 40 time than Brian Thomas? I didn't expect Thomas to be that fast. I figured Thomas would be right there at the 4.4 range. 4.34 did surprise me a bit. I think Neighbors would be in the same range, quite honestly. Sorry. Samuel Smith, better shot of Derek Carr becoming Mahomes than Anthony being better shot of Derek Carr becoming Mahomes than Anthony Guglielmo being positive. Jonathan Satoon, do you think Chase Shores throws any this year? Jonathan, I'll tell you, total guess. No, I don't. Total guess, though. I'm not telling you info that I have. I don't have any info there. The last I was told was if he did pitch this year, it would be near the end of this season. And I don't know that you're going to need him at the end of this season. So why rush him back? I would say no. Murder Giraffe. If there's a hat giveaway, I'll definitely be there. Okay. Well, you're going to have to introduce yourself as Murder Giraffe. Bo, I think Neighbors post a faster 10-yard split, but slower 40. Okay. Shane Danos, Matt, got you on the kitchen TV with the wife. Okay. Shane, so we're there live in Iowa, not Iowa, Iowa, home of the Hardys at the truck stop. Jacob Potter, can we trade in our Hudco hat for the rebrand? Yes. Yes, you can. How about that? Absolutely, you can. Whenever we get the new rebranded hat, we'll trade them in. Brand, just seems like JJ has good intuition on who to play at the right time, depending on structure of their competition. Feels like he spends countless hours on opponents' weaknesses. He is a super detail-oriented coach. I know that was back to what you were saying earlier, Brant, but I was really hoping you'd give me like a specific example. That was just kind of a word salad. But yes, Jay is a super detailed guy. Honestly, as weird as this is going to sound, there's no better example of it, Brant, than his first year. When with that team, with he and obviously Jason Kelly was the pitching coach, to get that team as far as they did, it was pretty amazing. And they really had to manage and kind of over manage. Literally every pitch that was thrown. Because their margin was so thin. So thin. And that was really an indicator where, when you could tell, it's not that other teams don't chart every pitch or anything like that, but it was just, it had to be so precise. And he would play matchups where you're seeing multiple pitching changes in innings just to get a favorable situation, a certain spot. Yes. In the last 2 years, he certainly had far more talent. Let's see. Michael Garcia, good morning. Desmond Bozeman. Dana Berthelot. Good morning. No more Hudco jingle. That's true, Dana. No more Hudco jingle. I'm a little sad about that one for sure. Jake Knight, it's a good problem to have. How do you get Brady Neal the at-bats? He may be called upon, but he's obviously the future. I think the way they're doing it right now is the approach, Jake. I think Travinsky's your DH. I think Neal is your primary catcher. Milazzo, it's what they did last year. Neal was your catcher. Milazzo was sort of the late inning defensive replacement. And if in a given weekend you needed to to spell Brady Neal, you wanted to give him a break, you'd catch Milazzo. So I think that's what they're going to do. And, I think Milazzo, the way his bat came along last year gives you that much more confidence that he can be a productive bat in your lineup. Not a dominant hitter or anything like that, but he can be he's not just an out. He can be a productive bat in your lineup. I mean, he hit 289 last year. Hey, give it up for Matt Terrio Roofing. what about this one? Matco. Y'all crazy. Thomas Spencer in Southwest Texas. Yeah. Good morning, Thomas. Good morning. Good morning. So I think I did know that, Thomas, that when they shot that movie Unnecessary Roughness at North Texas and Denton. I think I did remember that. Scott Bakula. Jesse put Scone Co. from Hudco to Scone Co. The Armadillos. Yeah, man. Bumblerooski. What a good movie. Let's see, Bo, Monster making it hard to ever get him off the field for second base. Yeah, I think he's at this point, and listen, Bo, things could change when you get into conference play. You could get into conference play, the level of pitching could elevate dramatically, and Milam, Jake Brown, some of the new guys may struggle. Bingham, we'll see. But man, I tend to Milam gives you competitive at bat. He's not afraid to get hit by a pitch. He can draw a walk. He can work a count. Didn't love the strikeouts yesterday, but the change up that the kid yesterday, their starter, Andrew Herman, struck at 8, throwing nothing but a change up. Gave him one hit. Gave him one hit through 4 2/3, struck out 8. Just throwing a change up. Oh man. Yeah, anyway. Yes, I agree. I think Milam has, and you could tell it, the way I described him the opening weekend was like he was a little ball of bleep you energy. And you could tell, and you want that guy, stick his nose in there, hustle, play hard, solid at second base, give you competitive at bats, work counts, get dirty. Yeah, I want Milam in there. Chico, anyone hear the announcers call him Alex Malazzo? I don't know that I noticed that. You're always going to have some of that. So, hey, Benny Latino. ULL will be a 2 seed in a regional, so a good win. You think they got any shot of hosting? I wonder. I just don't know enough about that team. I wonder if they got any shot of hosting. Barry Day, LSU sports rolling, add beach volleyball, even men's basketball. The GOAT, thoughts on Connor Griffin? Do you think NIL will allow or give us a better chance to land him at the top of the baseball prospects? So Terrio and I, you might remember, had Connor Griffin on the show when he committed to LSU. For those who don't know, Connor Griffin he's a high school kid out of Mississippi, and when you talk to people in baseball circles, they'll tell you he's the Bryce Harper, Josh Hamilton. He's the 5-tool kid out of Mississippi who's just the once in a decade type player. And he's committed to LSU, and it's I totally understand the thought where you go, man, he's going to be a top 10 pick. There's no chance he ends up on campus. I get it. And I probably agree with you. I got to get going. I got to go to church. I didn't realize it was almost 11 o'clock. I'll see y'all at MBS at 11:30 for mass. So real quick, time to get Toby Tomplay working on a new jingle for Riot Scone Co. Roofing. This is another good one. How far Gulf South? How far does LSU make it? Of Skeens was an average arm. let me get back to that. Let me finish the thought about Connor Griffin. I think if you were able to get the right people together, and LSU has them, and you could get Connor Griffin $500,000 a year. So 3 years, $500,000 per, put $1.5 million in his pocket while he continues to develop, plays for LSU, which he'd love to do. Meaningful games, big stage, all that sort of stuff. Avoid the bus rides at 18 years old in the minors, playing in front of 100 people. I think you have something to sell, because then he could go be the first overall pick in 3 years and make $10 million or whatever the slot would be at that time. You have something to sell, but ultimately, what's going to happen is there's going to be a major league team that calls him and says, we're going to give you $6, $7, $8 million, whatever it is. And he's going to have to say no to that. And I don't know how you say no to that. I mean, Cam Johnson's here. He turned down 3.5, which is stunning. Like, I'm very glad he's an LSU Tiger. I would not have advised my child to turn down $3.5 million. But again, everyone has their own I'm not judging. Everyone makes their own decisions based on whatever. So long way of not answering your question about Connor Griffin. But yes, I think you have a shot. I mean, it might be a puncher's chance, but it might not be a great shot, but you have a shot. And for Gulf South, how far does LSU make it if Skeens was an average arm? I mean, considering it took you all year to find consistency out of Floyd and Hurd, you probably look a lot like you did the year before. Now that team mashed 150 whatever homers it was. So that might have been a big difference. Where you could have slugged your way to some wins and hosted a regional, but without Skeens, you're not a national seed. And you certainly don't win the national championship. So, I mean, if all else is equal and you end up in the game against Wake Forest, the Tommy White game, you're not winning that one without Skeens. So, glad he was on our team, even for a year. So, okay, I got to bounce. Thanks so much for watching. If you're on YouTube, smash that like button, subscribe up to the channel. Facebook, like the Matt Moscona page, share the post. We appreciate y'all greatly as always. Time to go get my praise on and my worship on. Brought to you by Brock. We appreciate so much our friends over at Brock, the Baton Rouge Orthopedic Clinic. They're the best. If you need an orthopedist, remember After Hours Clinic is open right there on Bluebonnet in Baton Rouge. 10 locations in all, including Tangipahoa. And if you got roof issues, call Matco or Terry Scone Roofing, whatever y'all are calling it. Just give us a shout. 364-1007, 364-1007, 364-1007. Okay. Y'all have an awesome day. Go Tigers. We'll look forward to seeing y'all tomorrow. Peace.